All right. Hello, Michael Youssef. How are you
Hey,
today?
Kerry. Good. How are you, Kerry?
I'm doing well. Now, you're coming to us all the way from Sydney, right? And I say all the
Correct.
way because I'm in Charleston, South Carolina, and that is just a long way across the globe.
Touche.
Yes, yes. All right. So before we get into what kind of firm you have and what you do, tell us a little bit about yourself. What is it that you do, who you serve, and why should somebody want to listen to what you have to say?
Well, why they should listen? Well, I suppose that's a matter of perception. I think what I, I think what I have to say is valuable. I definitely think what I have to say is valuable. Who we serve small to medium sized businesses. We like to specialize in service businesses, so kind of businesses that trade time for money, like an accounting business, of course. Um, and we do a lot of that, routine accounting work. But really, what our sweet spot is advice, and helping business owners be more effective and helping them understand their numbers. That whole saying, a business lives and dies by its numbers, and that's what we believe. And if we can help our clients be better, sharper, effective, productive because they better understand every part of their business, then that's a good day for us.
I like that. I like that a lot. Um, I don't know what's going on economically in your part of the world, but I would think that you're still suffering from some, we can call it post-COVID economy. We could call it a recession, but there's been a downturn, right? And
100%.
do you have the belief, as I do, that if a business knows their numbers, they're going to be able to better withstand a recession? They'll know where they're weak at earlier than if they don't know their numbers.
100%. I've got my the 3M framework to beat inflation and recession. And so the first pillar is your margins. You've got to work and know your margins, and you've got to focus on improving the margins. Like it's so it's so upsetting. There seems to be there's always this massive focus on, oh, we just need more people, we need more customers, we need more clients. But if you don't know your margins and you don't understand that element, you're not going to make. It doesn't matter how many people you put on; it's just going to cripple the business anyway. So the first M in that framework is the margin. The next thing, if you know your margins, it's all about marketing. It's weird. I'm an accountant talking about marketing. So, but marketing is the lifeblood in terms of filling up the pipeline, filling up the business with new opportunities. And then finally, it's mindset. One thing, I took over this business after my father passed away, and I have to admit, I wasn't in the best mindset when I started it. I was getting results, but because fear is a powerful motivator. But I had to work on my mindset and flip the script a little bit, so that I could start to tap into a different energy, one that was more productive, one that was more inspiring. So, I honestly think that those three things, margins, marketing, and mindset, are critical during times like these, because it's, the whole Warren Buffett approach, right? Like, if everyone's buying, you should be selling. If everyone's selling, you should be buying. And it's
Yeah.
because a lot of other businesses aren't taking that approach. They're fearful, they're holding back, they're hesitant. But if they know their numbers and they know their margins, and as a result, they know their market and they know their product and offer, and then they're working on their mindset. I think that's how those businesses really protect themselves.
You're speaking my language right now because I love the marketing and I love the mindset, right? And it's like, all right, look, I ran a study. All right, I ran a study. I have software, and I ran a study over the top 100 cities in the United States. And in this, I wanted to find out of the top five companies, accounting firms, CPAs that Google brought back as a result, how many reviews these companies had. And you know what? It's shocking. It's shocking. And I say reviews because one of the factors of getting more business is making sure that everybody knows how good your business is, right? And out of the top
Correct.
100 cities, it's like less than 10% had more than 50 reviews. It's like, I don't understand this. So from a marketing standpoint, yeah, it's super, super important. The second thing third thing you said about mindset, well, right now, in my opinion, this is where the good companies are going to gobble up market share, right? There's going to be a lot of weak companies, not just, the people that you want to do business with, but your competition. These weak companies don't even know their own numbers, and they're going to lose their clients because they don't know what to do. So,
Correct.
if you're an accounting
Agreed.
firm and you're in growth mode, baby, it's time to hit the gas.
We've been very similar, especially over the lockdown periods when we were really in the midst of chaos. To me, it was, to me, it was an opportunity. We need to step up and serve more. You know what I mean? We got to be the light for the business community, because, like, people are getting sick, but businesses are also sick. They need help. And so we were going out there trying to be the light, trying to serve, trying to give people information. Some of our biggest growth happened over COVID. Because I took that attitude. Let's work on our marketing. So let's position ourselves right, and let's work on our mindset, and let's not go to work with that fear mindset, but let's go to work with a little bit more of an abundance mindset. But let's also inspire the people around us as well. Everyone felt good about the whole, well, as good as they could, I suppose, about the whole experience.
Yeah, I think that's really really an important message, and it's even in a post-COVID world, it's still valid, right? If you want to recession-proof your business, then you got to build a moat around your customers, around your business. And I think one of the ways that you said that you're doing this is, like, you have your accounting practice, right? And then you have your advisory practice. What's the difference between a firm that only does the numbers versus one that does the strategy?
You're a transaction. You're a commodity. The accounting industry, like almost every other, it's a red ocean. It's saturated. There's a dime a dozen. And if in the absence of differentiation, then it's always going to be a price-driven discussion. And so where you can really uptick the value of your offer, and uptick the value, is to build in information, is to actually translate the knowledge that accountants have acquired, whether it's through years of study and postgraduate study and years of working with their clients. It's really leverage that information and provide strategic level support to their clients. My thinking is, if when you win, I win. So, like, if you come to me today and you're doing, like, 100K, 250K in turnover, that's fine. That's great. But I want you to do a mil, because when you do a mil, you're going to pay me more.
Right.
So it's in my best interest for you to succeed. Like, that's just simple. Like, it's just, in my head, it's just good business. When you win, I win. So I want to do what I can to help you win.
Brother, we're on the same page. Because if I help you grow, you're going to pay me more.
Exactly. It's just simple math. It's simple math.
Yeah. Now, I like what you said about the value equation, because I think that part gets missed in like when a business is growing, they typically believe, well, I do this thing, and that thing is the value. But that's not where the value really is. That's a transaction. Like you said, that's transactional. Nope. You give me money, I'll give you time, and here's the thing that we're producing. But the value is what does that service do for me? Right? What does it actually allow me to then do? The reason behind the reason. So what I would say to you, what is that value that you're helping them find through your experience and through your knowledge of their specific numbers?
My guarantee is that every client that I work with is a better and more effective business owner. because I help them understand their business outside of the operational part. Like, if you've ever read Michael Gerber's E-Myth, I love it.
That. Love that book.
Yeah, and I love how he talks about the 4 business units. You know, admin, sales, marketing, and operations. Obviously, being an accountant, I've called it 5 business units: admin, finance, sales, marketing, and operations. You know, most people go into business and they're very good at the ops part, the operations, which is the actual doing. But that's one business unit. What about the 4 others? You know what I mean? Like, those 4 others are just as critical. The way I've come into this business is I'm not a very good accountant. Like, I took over a business after my father passed away, but I'd never worked in the accounting industry, so I'd never had that technical accounting experience. And here I am taking over a highly technical business with very little technical knowledge. But operations is easy to fill. Just go find the guy that knows the stuff.
Right.
Yes, they're going to be expensive, but you know what? If it means that my skill set, which is sales, marketing, and all that kind of stuff, if I'm better at that, it's the opportunity cost. You know, am I going to spend, bucket loads of time trying to learn something that I'm still going to be behind the 8 ball compared to others because I'm only new to this? No, just go out and find the guy that knows it. The operations part is like often the easiest roles to fill. The sales, the marketing, the entrepreneur, that vision, that leadership, that's the stuff that really drives growth as far as I'm concerned. You know, you can find people to do sales, marketing, ops, admin, but the real businesses, they lead with the entrepreneur first. You know, there's that leader that has that vision, that mission, and they say, I'm going to drive forward and I'm going to do whatever it takes to do that.
I could not have said that better myself. I mean, I'm listening to you speak and I'm like, why is Michael in my head?
I think we both read the same books.
Well, it's not just reading the book. It's a belief in the fact that, and I had another guy on. He was a special ops guy who turned into an operator, right? A business operator, and that's his belief as well. Is that you can hire the technical aspects of almost any business, right? I mean, if you're an HVAC guy, you don't have to actually go in and replace air conditioners. You hire a guy that goes and does that for you, right? Same with being a plumber or a 100%. Roofer. I mean, I don't know very many roofing business owners that actually get on a roof. And so the idea that you hire the expertise is spot on. And it's the mission, it's the message, it's the drive that comes from the entrepreneurial owner. And that is not everybody. And that's where Michael Gerber has it right on. Not everybody can graduate from being a technician to being a true business owner.
Correct. And that's where I like that. And it's normal, I'm really good as an operator. I want to do it for myself. I'll go out and start my own business, but it's kind of like that bottom up approach, but I think what used to be my biggest source of anxiety, not being the technical accountant, has actually become my biggest strength. Because, one of my mentors said to me, he goes, the smartest thing I did, and he ran accounting firms. He goes, the smartest thing I did was become the dumbest person in the business. And like for a while, like when I first took over, that it really brought me anxiety. But now it's the opposite. Now I embrace it. Now it's like, I'm not the guy with the answers. I pay the guys to have the answers. So go to the guys who have the answers. Don't make me the middleman. You want to grow? You can come to me. You want to talk tax and accounting and all that kind of stuff? There's about 6 other people here you can speak to that will have the answer to your question.
Right.
And so, so you can, like you said, you can find people to do everything, but you can't find the visionary. You can't replace that. That's the hardest role to fill. And that's where I think most business owners, they start with a bottom-up approach, and then they get strapped, and then they get deflated. But, flip the script, be the leader, have the vision, have the mission, have the goal, and then make your business work according to that.
I think one of the issues, and I see this in various online groups, right? That people enter into being a bookkeeper or an accountant or, as an employee. They come from someplace else where they got the experience. Now they want to come out on their own, and yet they retain that employee mentality. It's like you said, wait, there's five different buckets, and as an employee, you're only filling out one of them. What are you doing with those other four? So the question to you is that as in an advisory role, what's the first thing you recommend people start outsourcing?
I like to tell clients to do a love and loathe list. So I go grab a piece of paper, split it in half, and then do a love and loathe list. On one side, I want you to write down every activity that you love to do. You know, all those activities in your business that you love to do. On the other side, write every activity that you loathe doing, like you absolutely hate it. Now, there are going to be activities on that loathe side, whether you like it or not, you have to learn to love, because not every activity on that list you can palm off. But once you've got that list, you've actually got a good bucket of activities that you can start to outsource. You know, that becomes the base point. A lot of the time, it's just grunt work admin. You know what I mean? Like, I need someone to help me deal with paperwork, or I need somebody to follow up on this or follow up on that. You know, that's often what it is, like that love and loathe list. But I say start with that love and loathe list. Find somebody that can do all. You got to find the person that loves to do the things you hate.
Yeah, absolutely. Like taxes.
Yeah. Well, that's why I've got guys in the team who love to do that work, and they're happy, and they do it really, really, really well.
Yeah. All right. So you have you've spent a lot of time talking about marketing, and that's your passion. That must be one of your passions, right? On your love and loathe list, marketing is on your love list.
Certain elements of it.
Okay.
So the strategic side, the thinking side, but the technical side, they told me this week to set up Instagram. Man, I've got no patience for that. I reckon they're going to say to me next, set up TikTok. I've got no patience for that, posting or writing an ad or, you know, setting the ad terms. None of that technical stuff. I'm happy to just, you know, point a camera in my face and shoot, or Mike will write out some content, or Mike will do some thinking about it, you know, come up with different strategies or offers or messages. Happy to do that thinking side of it, but not the grunt work side of marketing.
Valid point, because you know, I think a lot of people don't understand how much technical grunt work there really is. I mean, look, even if you're talking about copywriting, that is a tremendous skill set that takes a lot of time to understand how to do, right? Write things in such a way that taps into people's emotions and pushes buttons and gets them to take an action in as few words as possible, right?
That's the big one, in as few words as possible.
In as few words as possible. And, you know, it's like, well, you know, all right, we're having a long-form conversation, right? A long-form conversation. Yeah. And when you start looking at what the direction of YouTube is, what the direction of Facebook is, what the direction of Instagram is, they're all looking at TikTok and saying we have to find a way to reward short-form creators. Period. They're pushing up the algorithm for short-form content, whether it's Facebook or YouTube or even Instagram. And, you know, it's like, okay, well, as a creator myself, I'm looking at this and say, well, I like having conversations. I don't get to know people, and people don't get to express themselves unless we have a conversation. And this is a very short conversation. Joe Rogan does 3 and 4 hour podcasts every day, right? Like, holy cow, Joe. You know, so it's like, well, as I said to you earlier, you know, I'm from the South. I don't even get started in a minute. How, you know, 11 seconds? That's a video in 11 seconds? Well, it's an 11-second video, and I've started working on this. I was like, I created a 26-second video so it would work for Facebook stories. That video took me an hour and a half. 26 seconds took an hour and a half. How is that possible?
Perfection is the enemy of progress.
maybe, but it's understanding. It's like they have you have to use these things to get onto the desktop to get into the platform, and then it's like, well, I want the text to scroll out of what the audio is, and that's another thing. It's like, oh man, and then there's thumbnails. It's like, you know, this is where you need an expert, right? This is where you need an expert. But sometimes, correct me if I'm wrong, but sometimes you need to know how to do it so that you can tell if somebody else knows how to do it.
Agree. Neither one. I think that's the key thing. You need to appreciate and understand it. You don't necessarily know how to do it. You just need to appreciate the process and have a high level understanding of the process.
Yeah, high level. Yeah.
And I'd say that with clients as well. It's like you don't need to know the ins and outs or the intimate details of your numbers. You just need to understand and appreciate why they're so important and why tweaking little things makes a massive difference. You pay us to do the thinking. That's what you pay us for.
Right.
But, you know, you still need to understand your numbers because your numbers are your business.
Yeah, it's like, okay, what's the difference between a cash flow and you know the other financials, right?
Correct. Well, what is your margin? Like, what are you making? Like, what's your gross margin? I don't care about revenue. What's that saying? Revenue is vanity, profit is sanity, and cash is king. You know, it's
yes.
It's heaps of you see heaps of advertising. You know, I did $30 million in 3 weeks. It's like that's all great, but how much did you keep of that? It's like
they don't want to talk about that number.
Yeah, that's it. So it's like you can make $3 million. That's great, but if you've got no margin on it, what's the point? Do you know how to create or grow the margin? That's where we can come in and help.
There's a company that specializes in helping people become funnel builders. Right? I'm not going to say their name, but they specialize in helping people know how to do this. And they give awards out, and they've been doing it for years. And their awards are $1 million in revenue. That's like the baseline. Well, if you get $1 million in revenue, you get an award. The joke around town is that so many of those award winners have no income.
Really?
That low margin, no margin, don't understand their numbers, misspent. Yeah.
I really want one of those awards.
You really want one of those.
But I don't want it with the no income part.
Well, I'm just looking at it and say, well, you know, as a group of people, here's a bunch of people that really need the help of people like you. Right? They're obviously they're good at creating revenue, but if they don't know their numbers, what's it for?
Correct. I kind of the metaphor I use is you've got different ways of building a house, right? You can build it. Well, the way I look at it is, do you want to build a house on sand or do you want to build it on solid foundations? And the numbers, well, there's a few parts of it, but the numbers are they're like almost like the cornerstone of good foundations. If you build your house on sand, you can scale. I'm not saying you won't grow, but if the underlying foundation is weak, it's like you're going to climb to the top of the mountain, you're going to hit peak, but you're going to fall off straight away. Like there's no longevity. It's quick in, quick out. Whereas if you build your business on like solid foundations, it might take you longer to reach the peak of the mountain, but you know what? It's not going to break. You know, you've got the foundations in place. It's just you can put levels and levels and levels and levels and levels on top, and it doesn't ruin the underlying structure. Because one of the biggest things I've seen is this push for more clients. But when we actually do some analysis, we go, you're not getting much bottom end, you're not getting much cash and profit out of those more clients because they're inheriting your existing margin, which means that like if your margin is already low, any more you put on doesn't make you any more money. And so it's understanding that and those interrelationships and those interactions and go, well, we need to tweak things so we can get that foundation nice and strong. So now when you're putting more and more, you know, you want to hit 1 mil, you want to hit 10 mil, you want to hit 100 mil, you know, the foundations are critical.
So you're saying that accounting firms and bookkeepers shouldn't be or shouldn't try to be the Walmart of bookkeeping and accounting, where very slim margins, high volume. I mean, the only way to win that game is if you can just increase the volumes to a point that you make money, but one hiccup and you're done.
Yeah, that's like Michael Porter. He talks about this as one of his, 5 forces, that cost leadership strategy. Yeah, like you said, Walmart guys, like they only make money because they sell in volume, but their margins aren't there,
No.
and so they know that they have to sell in volume, otherwise they're not going to make much money.
Right. That's why we all have to become employees of those businesses when we walk in to buy something. Right. We all have to become the people who puts the carts up, who scans our own food, our own products, and puts them in the bags. You know, because they can't afford to have employees.
The people. That's it. That's it.
Yep.
So if you and we in the accounting business, like we made a decision not long ago, is that we're not actively taking on much more in the bookkeeping space. And we did that because we consistently, when we looked at our data, we could see that bookkeeping represented the lowest margin.
Mm-hmm.
But it was also the highest cost. So it had the highest time cost of all the services that we did with the lowest margin. And then maybe perceptual here, it's because the bookkeeping is seen as such a transactional, commoditized kind of thing. We just said, well, unless people are going to pay the rate we want for it, I'm not even going to ask for it. And we actually started to we even said to some of our clients, you start to take on your own bookkeeping. Because even though it reduced the revenue size, it gave us a lot more capacity.
Sure.
Because now we're not bogged down on the day-to-day transactional stuff. Now we can focus on the end result and the advisory work, because we were like, we're not making much on it anyway. Just because it makes revenue look good doesn't make bottom line look good. So why do we keep it? Just get rid of it.
So you're advising your clients to hire their own bookkeepers?
If they're a certain size, yeah, I'd say, either pay this rate, which is what we're going to charge, or you can find somebody else at whatever rate. You can do that. If they're small, to keep their costs down, I said, look, I'll train you on how to do it, but it's going to be more powerful for you to do it because it's going to reduce your costs, but it's also going to help you better understand your numbers. And I like, especially new startups that I work with, I often will say, look, let us come in and do all the important stuff, all the lodgements, all the thinking, all the tax stuff, but let us train you on how to do the bookkeeping stuff, so that way you understand and appreciate how it works. It's kind of like a loaded question. I want them to do it so they can see how hard it actually is, and then they have a deeper appreciation for the work that we do. Because once they get to a certain size, they can't do it anymore, or they're slow, and so it's like, oh, I need your help now. Can you please help me? And now when you go out and charge a higher rate, they understand. Yeah, okay, I get it, because this isn't as easy as what I thought it was. And mind you, I don't get them to do like everything, like split this or journal entry. I just get them to code what they can, leave the rest for us to fix up.
Well, that was going to be my question. Is like, okay, are they doing it under your guidance and assistance so that you get good numbers? But you just answered that question.
Yeah. No, I don't I would never, because like it also makes, I say to the client, if you don't know where to put it, leave us notes, because it's a lot longer for us to find a mistake if you've put it somewhere and we have to go in and find it, rather than if you just leave us notes, we can tell you where to put it, or we can put it there ourselves.
You can tell them where to put it, huh? Yeah, there's my headline right there.
That's a good headline.
All right, so if you're going to give one piece of advice to, let's say, a smaller, younger bookkeeping firm, or accounting firm, what is the number one thing that you would advise them to do to get on the right track, to get margin, as opposed to what I see, which is charge by the hour, network your way into clients, and it's like the traditional 1990s way of growing a firm. What would your experience lead you to say?
Oh, focus on creating a valuable offer, and focus on increasing the perceived value of your offer. That's the key thing. And a lot of that is less about what you do and more about who you are. Because I really believe people buy people, and especially in this, especially when you're like the gatekeeper of people's money. Like there's such a massive amount of respect people have and trust they put in you. So let your story shine through, and that also has the benefit of increasing the value of your offer. But yeah,
I love it. I think that I would say that your first thing is to figure out who your target audience is. Like who are you speaking to? But you have to have the right offer for them. You have to have the right message that goes along with that. But if you're increasing the value of what you do, then it's no longer the commodity that can be compared like apples.
that's it. That's it. That's it. And like there's, you know, what is it? What was I saying to someone yesterday? Apple wasn't the first person to enter the phone space. They weren't the first people to enter the MP3 space. But you know what? They killed it, and they've got such their product value is so high. So it doesn't mean just because you're in a saturated market you can't still make money. It's how you set yourself up, how you differentiate, how the market, your target customer perceives what you do. And that's really the big thing, that perception of value. You know, make your offer so valuable to them that it's almost a no-brainer for them to buy from you.
Yeah, it's interesting you bring that up. I don't even think that they're in the phone business anymore. They're in the camera business.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have a few questions for you.
Easy.
And let's see. The first one. What is something most people think is important that they can just skip entirely?
In what context?
You name it.
What is something most important that people skip entirely? Dinner.
Dinner. I would argue breakfast, but okay.
I would argue breakfast as well because I'm not really a breakfast person, but I know that certain nutritionists and health people would say that's probably the most important meal to start yourself off with.
They're wrong. We all carry enough food around. It's so easy for us to go 18, 24 hours, or even 24 hours without eating on a regular basis. It's so easy. Yeah,
very much so. Very much so.
Just like we've been, fed so much propaganda on other things. That's one of the big ones. You got to eat 3 meals a day, and it must contain grains.
Correct. I did a 3-day water. I did like a 3-day water fast a couple years ago, and it was the best I felt was like 3 days of nothing but water and maybe the occasional lemon water. And it really just goes to show how much we're kind of brainwashed into this idea of, you have to eat these things, you have to eat at these times. I was saying to someone, it's like we live in this, the drawback of that Western society is that it's almost a little bit of brainwashing happening, where it's kind of like, man, the simplest things are the best, get out into nature.
It is not a little bit of brainwashing.
Yeah, I'm trying to keep it somewhat politically correct.
Okay. All right. So what are the biggest struggles you face today, and how can I start thinking about those kind of struggles ahead of time?
What are the biggest struggles you have today?
Well, let's look at this in the framework of your business.
All the learning in the world means nothing if you take no action.
Awesome. Yeah.
You can have a problem and you can spend all this time reading about the problem and researching the problem, and you can almost tell yourself this false story that by learning about it that's going to fix the problem. But nothing fixes the problem than actually just going out there and doing it. Like just doing it.
The biggest ability to learn something is through failure. And if you're not trying, you're not failing.
Correct. Like 100%. Yeah. Don't let learning cripple action.
Love it. All right. So Michael, tell us where people can find you, and who you serve.
Where can you find me? You can find us. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me on LinkedIn. You can find my company's websites. So you've got mypathadvisory.com.au or hyaccounting.com.au. We've got chatbots on our website, so you can feel free to just send us a message. We don't charge by the hour, so don't hesitate. You can feel free to just, we're not that kind of firm that sits there and charges. We're not sitting there with the timer going, yeah, cha-ching. No, we don't do that.
You're not a lawyer, huh?
Yeah. I'd be making a lot more money if I charged by the hour, let me tell you. But you know what? I've noticed that by giving people that reciprocity approach, every single time I go to a client, I give them time, and they know that the time is valuable. It almost always leads to more work.
Oh, nice.
So
Nice.
It's that reciprocity approach. And who do we serve? Small to medium-sized businesses, service businesses, but those who really want to build a solid foundation and want to become better, sharper, more effective business owners. If they're frustrated that they're not getting that advice from their accountant, they're frustrated that there's no strategy in place, they feel a bit lost and they're directionless, we can fix, we can help.
Awesome. Michael, Youssef, this has been tremendous. I appreciate
likewise,
you being
Kerry.
on.
I appreciate you having me on, Kerry. Appreciate it.
You bet. Thank you.